2 through 5 on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. In a few minutes, I'm Marky Billson here on Tri-City Sports Now. I'll be talking to Joe Rexroad of the Tennessean about the Big E hockey game. I love that I'm talking hockey here in Tennessee. I love it. Between the Nashville Predators and the Winnipeg Jets, which I am told you can hear here at 8 p.m. on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. Might actually have that at 7:45. But yeah, could tune in at that time to hear the Predators and the Jets playing for all of it in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. For the Predators, they got to win that game or else their season is a failure. Let's just put it that. I know they got the President's Trophy. President's Trophy means nothing compared to the Stanley Cup. It's a nice window dressing. It is not even the sour cream on the baked potato. It is at best the cherry on top. And that's all it is. And that might be a bad thing because that means that the regular season is kind of meaningless. But then again, show me the sport nowadays outside of college football or English Premier League soccer where the regular season isn't meaningless. Sad, but true. You know what else is sad but true? Listen to Howie Rose give this call.
The Mets have apparently batted out of turn. Now, they batted according to the lineup that we were given, but it may well be that there was a mistake made on the lineup card given to home plate ump Gabe Morales. So Morales has signaled for the third out.
That's hard to do. Yeah, batting out of order for the New York Mets. I know a few years ago the Giants did it. And the thing is, it's done so rarely. I mean, I can show you an incident in the World Series back in 1925 where it was done. But the thing is, back then you didn't have, these multi-million-dollar scoreboards that basically tell everyone, this is how they're batting. Of course, the official batting order, the one that counts, is the lineup card given to the umpire before the game. So if there's a mistake or a discrepancy, and that is how batting out of order occurs, even in the low minors. I have seen it. Mickey Callaway did man up to his mistake that probably cost the Mets a game to now the second worst team in baseball, the Cincinnati Reds. They are the anti-Yankees. The Yankees are winning 17 out of 18. Mets can't even get their lineups right, Meanwhile, like I said, Reds, after the managerial change, they now have 10 victories. They don't only have 3. So they now at, what is their record? 10-27. They're actually a game ahead, although even in the loss column, with the Orioles, who are 8-27 for worst record in baseball. Okay, Mickey Callaway, Mets manager. Hey, at least he's not Terry Collins, and he manned up to the mistake, as you will hear here.
He could have called it earlier. I'm responsible for it. It was just what was put in the computer was wrong. No, it's frustrating. It probably cost us the game. We had a chance to score on the first and we didn't.
I have actually seen this occur, and I remember in a minor league game that I was the play-by-play broadcaster for, and of course, minor league Bringhurst Field, now damaged and probably going to be razed due to fire, did not have a huge scoreboard, telling you what the order was. Actually, now hold on to that. The game was the Alexandria Aces. These teams no longer exist. Alexandria, Louisiana, and the Edinburgh Roadrunners. We were in Edinburgh, Texas, and we were playing at. They actually did have a scoreboard there, but with the video screen, but they didn't have the batting order in the on the scoreboard. I will tell you that. But Edinburgh Baseball Stadium, which is actually the home of Texas Rio Grande Valley, which one year back in the 70s, as Texas Pan Am made the College World Series. So, warm weather, college baseball, meaning, pretty big. They're a WAC school, that sort of thing. And that minor league game was played at that ballpark. And I remember two guys whose name, if you're a baseball fan, you'll recognize. The managers of the team, Alexandria Aces, which is the team I was calling, was managed by Von Hayes, former Phillies outfielder. The son of Jose Canseco, Ozzy Canseco, was managing the twin brother, forgive me. Twin brother Ozzy Canseco was managing the Edinburgh Roadrunners. All right. Filled the lineup card out wrong, did Ozzy. But this is such an obscure, this never happens, that sort of thing. And it's essentially the same thing with the Mets. But Von Hayes played it real well. As did the Reds yesterday, where they called out after the guy hits the double. He shouldn't have been hitting. Oh, yeah. And then that wipes out the double. Well, that's basically what would happen. But the thing was, as it didn't, in the game I called, I remember, it didn't come about that it was relevant until the ninth inning, because the players batting out of order kept making outs. And then that's when came out and, hey, I want to let you know here why. There are two things. The rule was so obscure. A lot of people don't know this, but let me explain this to you. If you're batting out of order and they say there's a runner at first base and he steals second, and you call, batting out of order and all this, that runner actually stays at second. Game we had, the umpires had no idea, and there was no rule book around, which is terrible for the umpires to do that. I mean, you can imagine. And they actually sent the runners back. They broke the rule. I mean, And it actually had a big cause in the game, because the runners had actually moved up in the game I was calling. And it may have influenced the winner or the loser. I mean, because you had difference between runners in scoring position or not. Now, why, in that situation, especially in the ninth inning, if you see this, you don't call for a pinch hitter to rectify batting out of order? I don't know. But hey. Anyway, Mets are getting a lot of criticism of that. They lose the game to the Reds and all this. Speaking of independent baseball, Rafael Palmeiro is going to play independent league baseball. He's 53 years old. He's going to play for the Cleburne Railroaders, an independent team that plays in the American Association. Cleburne is right outside of the Metroplex. American Association is a legitimate independent league. The players are generally thought to be, a lot of them have been cut from affiliated minor leagues, but, it's generally considered maybe even the highest level of independent baseball. I might say that American Association, but still, this does speak of Carnival Act. I don't see any way you can say that it doesn't speak of Carnival Act. Now, the reason why Rafael Palmeiro wants to do this at the age of 53 is not necessarily to try to make a major league comeback, but rather he wants to play with his son. His son is 27 years old, and he plays for the Railroaders. And Palmeiro, famous Ranger, hey, father and son, gotta give the Railroaders there in the Metroplex with Cleburne a lot of credit for this, for this, and you got the DH there, that's going to be a bit of a drawing card, maybe. Actually, fans in the Metroplex of Independent League Baseball have seen this all before. They've actually seen players older than Rafael Palmeiro play independent minor league baseball in the Metroplex. I'm speaking of two people, as a matter of fact, one of which is Julio Franco. Yeah, remember him? At 55, you thought he was old when he was holding a bat up high like this. You can see me on Facebook right here. But when he was holding the bat too high and he just didn't have the bat speed and Bobby Cox was keeping him around for old time's sake, and the age of 48 for the Braves. Remember that? And you just were screaming, bring the bat down. You're 48. What do you think you're doing? I've always done it this way. And he's unable to pull the ball and he's swinging late and all that. Anyway, but Franco actually signed with the Fort Worth Cats, who at one time were in the American Association and now are defunct, and actually played a bit at the age of 55 a few years ago as something of a drawing card. Is Julio Franco really a drawing card? I mean, he was a fine player for many years, but, Now, in addition to Franco, another seasoned vet has often played independent minor league baseball, and I'm speaking of, I mentioned Ozzy Canseco. By the way, he did play independent baseball for many years, and in fact, and it was more of a situation, I know, he was a player manager for like one game. I think that, they needed a DH, and it was like, I'm still in shape, I'll do it, one of those things. But it wasn't like a tremendous comeback. It was more like, well, we need a player for this game. I'll activate myself. Yeah, okay. That sort of thing. But Ozzy Canseco actually had Ozzy Canseco's brother, Jose, who you know much more than Ozzy, he had a long career in independent ball. In fact, last year, had a cup of coffee playing in his 50s, did Jose Canseco. I mentioned Yuma before. Jose Canseco actually managed a team in Yuma, Arizona. I think they were called the Scorpions. And I want to say he was a player manager there and such. Anyway, I used to broadcast games in the Arizona Winter League, which is a showcase league. Jose Canseco was involved in that. I actually got to call a few games that Jose Canseco played in, as a matter of fact. Playing all sorts of positions, including pitcher and third base. Told me, yeah, well, actually, I played third base in high school. That's my home. I feel like that's my home. I know you know me as an outfielder, but, Anyway, getting to this, so this isn't unusual. There is a bit of a gimmick to it, but a bit of, Grover Cleveland Alexander at the fair. But I will say this, with Palmeiro and with his son on the same team, it's just a little bit more legitimate. You can see where that is. Palmeiro, at one time, I think, could have been a surefire Hall of Famer. 500 home runs, 3,000 hits. The PEDs might not have been a power hitter, I guess, but I think certainly could have had 3,000 hits and would have been a Hall of Famer. It's just going to be another sad story from another sad era of baseball. But still, maybe just a little bit of a nice story with Palmeiro playing with his son in the Metroplex in Independent League Baseball for the Cleburne Railroaders. There you are. Hey, I'm going to talk to Joe Rexrode of the Tennessean. Watch me on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities Facebook page. It's the Predators. It's the Jets. They're playing at a decent hour for a change. Tonight, the winner takes on the Vegas Golden Knights for the right to play for the Stanley Cup. Tri-Cities Sports Now returns